channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Winnie, and this is where I share my life experiences on a whole lot of issues. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you. But if you haven't subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button now and subscribe. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to share this video. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. In today's video, I will be talking about how to manage your money. Ego quiddy. How do you manage your money? Have you been living from paycheck to paycheck, or are you actually proud of your bank account, like your account statement? Are you proud about it? Is it something that you could show off? Or are you literally struggling with your finances? Now, if you want to know how to manage your finances, how to manage your money, your income, your spending, then you need to watch this video to the end, because I will be sharing with you tips that will help you make 2023 a year where you have a lot going on in your life, particularly with saving. One important thing about managing your finance is that you need to have a rain check. You need to know how much income is coming in. You need to know exactly how much you're spending on what. You need to be realistic, okay? Now is not the time for you to be estimating values or trying to project. No, just be exact, because that's the only way that will help you to budget. So first things first, you need to budget. Budgeting is something that is very important if you want to manage your money. It helps you take absolute control over your finances and over your life. It helps you keep track of what income comes in and how much you spend it on. Have you ever gone through your monthly bank account statement to keep track of what you spend money on in a month? Have you tried that for, say, 3 months cumulatively? And then I'm telling you, what you might find out might be mind-blowing, because you might not realize just how much you are spending on stuff in a month. And then you think, oh, there's not much left for me to save. But really, you can save if you will do these things. So first of all, you need to have a budget. Now, in having a budget, please, you need to sit down, take a pen, take a paper, take diary, and write down how much you spend every day on every single thing. There's nothing that is not important. There's nothing too important. There's nothing less important. You need to write down everything you spend money on, okay? Now, if you're someone that spends money using cash, you can have a book like I have here, where you write down what you spend money on. Or if you're someone that spends money using a debit or credit card, that's absolutely easy and perfect, because every month your bank would send you your bank statement that tells you how much you have spent on stuff for the whole time period, okay? Usually monthly. So when you have this account statement, you sit down and then you check, what have I spent on food? What have I spent on clothing? What have I spent on health? What have I spent on beauty? What have I spent on impulse buying? Just check it out, and that will give you an idea of how much you spend on essentials and how much you spend on non-essentials. Now, if you have done this, that's step one. Step two, you have to progress further. Now, this is what you need to do next. Since you now have an idea of how much income you've had, and this is usually income after tax, okay, guys? Income after tax. When you've had an idea of how much income you've gotten, and from your statement or your spending diary, you've gotten that information of how much you spend on what item, you have that idea, you have that fact down. Now, you can now structure what we call a budget that suits you, okay? Budget has to be drafted to suit you. There's no one size fits all right? So what you do now is you can group your spendings into categories. You can first of all group it into households. Now, Items that fall under households could be your rent and your utilities. So your house rent, water bill, electricity bill, gas bill, what other utility, Wi-Fi. These are essentials, okay? So this should fall under household bills. Now, after household bills, you're gonna have living cost, okay? Your living costs is what you spend on living essentials day to day. Now that would be feeding, okay, grocery shopping, takeaway, alcohol, drinks, those basic essentials that you know it's part of your spending every month. Now when you've gotten your household, you can now take it further to your travel cost, okay? This would include fueling for your car, if you have a car insurance, public transport, parking, and every expenditure that falls under travel cost, okay? Now when you've gotten a section for your travel cost, you could have another section for leisure. Now this is very important because I will tell you, mental health and spending goes hand in hand. In fact, there's a very thin line between mental health and spending. So of course you need to balance it up. You need leisure. Now what falls under leisure will be your entertainment activities, girls day out, guys day out, couples day out, drinking out, eating out, film, games, just basically outdoor activities. Those things you spend money on, eating out. You could put it under your leisure. Maybe for you, if it's reading, like you love to buy books to read, put it under leisure, okay? Very important. Now there's one other section that you need to categorize under expenses, and that will be family and friends. I know a lot of us spend money on family and friends which we don't even factor into our budget, okay? For us, it might just be like impulse, impromptu, but guys, it shouldn't be so. You need to have a budget, okay, for how much you spend on family and friends. Now family and friends would involve sending money to family support. It could be childcare, it could be school treats if you've got kids, it could be games, day out with kids, just whatever expenditure that involves your family, whether your nuclear family or your extended family. So factor that in, right? So just make sure you have categorized this into this, you've categorized your spendings into these groups that I have mentioned. I will go over them again: household bills, traveling, leisure, family and friends, living cost, okay? So have a breakdown and figure out from your spending diary or from your monthly bank statements, maybe a cumulative of 3 months, just to track your routine, how you spend, just to track the direction of your spending, okay? Because 1 month might not be enough to give you an overview of the direction of your spending. So you might need to do the monthly check of your statements for 3 months consecutively, guys. So when you've done that, you're able to factor in all these expenditures that you have on your spending diary or your bank statement. Now you're able to factor them into the categories that I already mentioned. That gives you an idea of how much you've been spending, okay, on each of these categories. And I tell you, by the time you do this, you realize those things you've been spending that are not necessary, okay? Those things you've been spending on that seem ridiculous looking at it now, okay? Those things you've been spending on that are very important. So from this, you'll be able to restructure and then put it in the right direction. This is how much I should set aside for my household bills. This is how much I should set aside for living costs, for travel costs, for family and friends. And you know, that is what we call a budget. Now you know how much you should be spending on these categories. And one thing you need is discipline. Discipline means you say no when you've exceeded your spending limits. So if you've exhausted the amount you have allocated for, say, leisure, it means that even if you're in day 10 of the month and you've exhausted what has been allocated to leisure, it means that it's over. There's no leisure that involves spending money until the following month. So all leisure will have to be things that you don't need to spend money on. And guys, you wouldn't realize how creative you are until you get to that point where you have to discipline yourself not to go beyond your budget. And if you have exceeded your budget, then you're able to think outside the box of ways you can relax without actually spending money. So it's a win-win, right? I know. So one important thing you need to take note of is you need to be very disciplined so you don't go overboard, or because after going through the stress of creating or setting up a budget, if you aren't disciplined enough to follow through, then I can tell you it's an absolute waste of time. Okay, now it's not just about budgeting. You need to also know how to save, because you can't be living from your hands to mouth. Okay, and a general rule of thumb says that you need to save enough to last you 3 months if you ever find yourself in a difficult situation. So let's say you lose your job or something happens and you're out of work, you're out of that place where you can get income on a daily basis. You have enough to sustain you, at least your essentials, for 3 months. So let's say your essential expenditure is £500 monthly. For you to save, you need to have an emergency fund of £1,500, which would be enough to last you for 3 months until you're able to get back on your feet. Now, that is only emergency funds. You need to also save for the future according to your goal. And one thing that helps you save effectively is budgeting, because by the time you've done your budget, you know how much income you have, you know how much expenditure you have, and then you know how much you're left with, and then you can save. Now, there's a very popular way to save. People call it the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, now what that means is that 50% of your income can go to your needs. That is your essentials, things you cannot do without, things that are very important. Okay, now 30% should go to your wants. That's those things that you like. Okay, you like to have. All right, like leisure, like family and friends, travel costs, holidays, that can go into your wants. Okay, the 30%. Now the 20% is what you need to save. Okay, so if you're earning, say, £1,000 in a month, £500 should go into your needs. That's the essentials like rent, utility bills, and then 30%, which is £300, should go into your wants, those things that you want. I already explained that. And then £200 should be saved. All right, now for some people, you can make it the other way around. Instead of £300 or 30% going into your wants, you can say 30% will go into my savings, while 20% will go into my wants. It depends on how you prioritize. Okay, but that is a very easy way of saving. 50-30-20 rule. Okay, that's very important. It helps you to save. Now, for a lot of people, one major problem they have with saving is impulse buying. And now we are in a world where everything is digitalized. There's a lot of use of credit cards. Now, I know in a previous video, I talked about building your credit score and how credit cards are important. Now, a lot of people get into a terrible spending habit. So guys, one important thing you need to take note of is avoid impulsive buying. And a lot of people buy impulsively when they are in their lowest point, when they are at their lowest point, when they are going through stuff, depression, when they find themselves in a difficult situation, when they are sad. And for some people, they tend to overspend just to make themselves feel good. You hear statements like, shopping makes me feel happy. Of course, shopping should make you feel happy, but it shouldn't be exactly when you're sad that you get to shop just to make yourself happy. Okay, because that might not be the point where you make the best of financial decisions. So if you're ever in a situation where you feel lonely, you feel sad, you feel depressed, reach out for help, talk to someone, okay? And look for something to distract you from spending, because you might end up overspending. All right, there's no point saving when you're overspending. It defeats the purpose, right? Another thing you should also take note of is look for ways to cut down your costs. So instead of going for popular brands that are quite expensive, look for cheaper options in local brands like Lidl, Aldi, Sainsbury, Iceland, and that will help you manage to cut down costs. Another way is to use price comparison sites. So whenever you're shopping online, try to search in other online shops and see if you can have cheaper alternatives or cheaper value. Okay, another way to cut down cost is also to try as much as you can to cook. Okay, instead of eating out, try to cook at home. You're not only eating healthy, but you're also saving money. All right, now make sure that you don't just end at saving in 2023. Go further to invest. You can invest in shares, stocks, bonds, but make sure to check with the Financial Conduct Authority register, especially if you're in UK, to be sure that whatever scheme you're registering in is actually reliable, okay, is registered with them, so that you don't get heartbroken when you get into scams. All right, now also contact a financial advisor before you invest your money. But investment is really good because it helps you generate more income. So instead of saving, you can move further to invest. Okay, I hope you found this video insightful. I hope it was educative. If you have any questions, please leave that in the comment section. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. Please share this video, please like, please comment, please subscribe, and please share. Like I said, I love you guys, and until my next video, keep winning and enjoying life. Bye.